Mr. Leong Man Wai asked if the government would convene a committee of inquiry for this incident. So I've stated at the outset of the disruption that LTA will do a thorough investigation to ascertain what happened and identify areas of improvement. As rail regulator, LTA has the necessary regulatory powers and technical knowledge to investigate serious rail incidents. LTA will conduct a thorough investigation to ascertain the root cause of the axle box failure. It will also examine the fault detection and incident handling procedures to determine if appropriate actions were taken. To supplement its investigations, LTA will be supported by an expert advisory panel chaired by Mr. Malcolm Dobell, former head of train systems for the London Underground, and comprising 5 other local and overseas experts. MOT's Transport Safety Investigation Bureau, TSIB, will also be conducting an independent safety investigation. I seek members' understanding that more details will be shared when the investigations are completed. We expect the investigations to be completed in the next few months, and the findings will be released publicly. LTA will mete out penalties if the investigations reveal lapses.
Now, firstly, can the Minister explain what is the difference between the approach to investigation that LTA has chosen versus that via a committee of inquiry? And secondly, with respect to the damage caused by the fallen axle, such a degree of damage could not have been done silently. There must have been quite a bit of noise. So my question, can the Minister shed light on why it was not discovered earlier, but instead allowed to drag on for over 2 kilometers of the track?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to answer the second question that Ms. Hazel Poa raised. I covered it briefly in my statement earlier, that this was one of the bogies of one of the cars. And there are 6 cars. Each car has 2 sets of these bogies. As to exactly why the falling of the axle box and then the bogie then shifted off the rails did not result in the discovery earlier. I think that is a subject of the investigations, and we will await the investigation findings to ascertain what happened. Ms. Poa also asked about the difference between the different approaches. So, of course, there are differences in the way that different investigations are being conducted. For example, the one that is done by TSIB, which focuses on safety investigations, would be different from the one that LTA is doing. Because LTA as a regulator would also have to look at whether there are any lapses and to decide whether any penalties need to be meted out. So there are differences in different types of investigations, but what is common across all the different approaches is that they will be thorough, they will be evidence-based, and they will focus on finding out what happened, ascertaining what are the root causes, and then identifying where are the areas for improvement.
In order not to subject them to another such incident, it is important that we investigate this incident thoroughly. As a result, I have 2 SQs for the Minister regarding the COI. First of all, I think many Singaporeans would like the Minister to explain the difference between this breakdown and the 2011 breakdown when a COI was called, and what made the Minister conclude that these 2 breakdowns are different and a COI is not required this time. My second SQ, does the Minister think that a new COI for this breakdown as well would be useful for us to confirm that all the findings and the remedial actions recommended by the 2011 COI has been implemented till today, and whether there are any other new factors other than technical and engineering factors like organization factors that we should take into account for this, for the breakdown this time.
Mr. Speaker, I have explained earlier that the investigations that will be done by LTA with help from, or with inputs from the expert advisory panel, and also the investigations that will be done by TSIB will both be done thoroughly. So that is the commitment that we have made to the public, that the investigations will be done thoroughly and the findings will be released publicly, and we will identify what are the root causes to the incident and what are the areas for improvement. Mr. Leong asked what is the difference between this incident and 2011. So I explained in my statement earlier that if you look at the operating situation in 2011 versus today, in 2011, the MKBF for our MRT system was 60,000+ train kilometers. Today, as I shared earlier, all the lines are above our target of at least 1 million MKBF. In 2011, the incident that happened, the context and the situation was not the same. Mr. Leong may remember, in between 2011 and now, we also had other serious MRT-related incidents. There was a flooding at Bishan. There was an incident at Joo Koon. And for those incidents, we did not convene a COI, but LTA conducted a thorough investigation for each of them and then learn from what happened to see how we can improve. Mr. Leong asked whether the findings from the earlier COI have been put into practice. I would explain to Mr. Leong that if we didn't implement the recommendations for improvements since 2011, that COI due to the incident in 2011, I don't think our overall reliability could have improved from 60,000+ in those days to more than 1 million for all lines today. So as I mentioned earlier, this does not mean that we think we have arrived and therefore we become complacent. Certainly not. There's always room for improvement. This is still a work in progress. We still want to do better. So this is what we will do. But we, based on our assessment, LTA has, as regulator, the necessary expertise and powers to conduct a thorough investigation.
This is a follow-up on my earlier SQ on COI. Now, I was given to understand that under a COI, it allows for the public hearing of inputs from experts rather than reading about it in a summarized version in a report. So would the minister consider allowing such public hearings, because the transparency will be helpful towards building and maintaining public trust and confidence?
Mr. Speaker, I have explained repeatedly why I believe that LTA and TSIB are able to conduct the investigations thoroughly and that we will publish the findings publicly. And in the case of LTA, there will also be an expert advisory panel comprising experts from both international and local, and they will provide their inputs to LTA for the investigations. There are different ways to conduct an investigation, but if our objective in the end is to find out what happened and to ascertain the root causes and to identify the areas where we can do better, I'm confident that what we have set out through the LTA and TSIB investigations can achieve that purpose.